Have you ever felt let down by a married couple in the church? By the way they've spoken to you about the fact that they're single? Or anyone, it doesn't have to be a married couple, but no, we're talking specifically about married couples, right?
Yeah. People generally have a really good heart about it, but I think sometimes the go-to when they don't know you very well and what they know about you is that you're a single woman. Oh, so are you seeing anyone? Have you met anyone? It seems to be a go-to topic. Yeah. And I sometimes think...
But you don't go over and go like, how's your marriage gone? Have you had any...
No, because that would be absurd,
Any date nights recently? All good in the bedroom?
Yeah, no, but no.
Just consummating that relationship, hopefully. Swinging from the chandeliers. No, you're right, because it's none of our business.
No, exactly. But also I think it's sometimes, I mean, I probably get it more when I go back to my home church.
Yeah.
But then they do know me quite well because I grew up there. And I think when it comes from that end, it is a well-wishing, and I think they probably just, and me personally, there's something I want in my life.
I think there's a load of questions you shouldn't ask someone single, but I think that you, almost like you unlock levels. The closer you are to that person, the more access you have to that information. But if you're literally just someone who goes to their church, probably best just to ask them like, how are you? You know, how's things going? Like really light touch topics that probably won't have the vulnerability.
Yeah, unless it's brought up.
If you're enjoying this, or, oh, I saw that you've been doing a bit more on welcome team, or, you know, that kind of vibe.
Yes, yeah. And unless it's brought up by the single person, that's something that they're willing to share. Because it could be a really... For some people, I imagine it's probably quite a hard topic. If it's something you're wrestling with God, and it's something that you're in the... So imagine if you're in the situation where you're trying to discern if God is calling you to singleness. And that's something that's really hard for you. And somebody comes in and goes, oh, have you been on any dates recently? And you're sat there going, oh.
Yeah.
Like that could be a gut punch. And I mean, it comes from probably a very kind place, but you just don't...
Always a kind place, you know. So often I don't sort of like challenge individuals, but obviously in the book I wrote a list of some things that I felt sometimes were a challenge for single people that they're told all the time or is said to them all the time. And every single time someone says something like that, it's always from a place of genuine interest with a view to it landing in encouragement.
Yes.
And stuff like that. So it's never that. But I remember I shared some of these when I was researching them on my Instagram, and then I turned up to my like Connect group, home group, life group, everyone calls it something different, but my like midweek group. And one of the women there who literally, she's phenomenal, but she was dating who is now her husband and the father of her children since she was 16. And she's now, I'd imagine, somewhere in the region of 30, maybe slightly under. But so actually, no adult life, single. And she said like, but what am I allowed to say then? Like, I want to do this. I want to be part of this journey. How do I do that? And I felt like the answer to that was, actually, if it's just a single person, full stop, you don't know very well, like probably nothing, like leave them. If they bring it up, then great.
Yeah.
But for those people, for example, the single women in that Connect group, in that space where you're invited into intimacy and accountability and connection and conversation, stuff like, there's plenty more fish in the sea. You've just got to get yourself out there. You know, like, oh, you know, you can connect with God in the waiting. Like,
what about this one other single person in the church? Have you thought about them?
Yeah.
Of course I have. It's the only other person in the room.
Yeah, as if we haven't thought about them.
Yeah.
Come on. And like that whole like God's perfect timing, all of that stuff. Like, it's not inaccurate necessarily. It's just not actually encouraging.
Yeah, because it's known. You know what I mean?
It's
if
not
you're
new
walking,
news. Yes.
I'm sure most of us, when we get to the point there are things we go, okay, where in the Bible can I get encouragement? And yes, God's timing, like it's all over the Bible. And if you're walking and you're a dedicated Christian and you're walking with God, you're going to have gone to those places first.
Oh, massively.
Right? If you've gone to God first, you're going to have done those things. I sometimes find it belittles me a little bit.
It reduces you to a person on a search when you're just a person.
Yeah.
And you may or may not be working towards and looking for a relationship.
Yeah.
Another thing, I think if you are invited into that place of intimacy where these conversations are, and every single person needs married people that they have these conversations with. It's not that like no married person is invited into the conversation.
Correct.
It's just that ideally there'd be 1, 2, 3 who have that level of intimacy with you to have those really frank conversations, right? And I think the first question that married person should ask that single person is not who are we looking for, it's are we looking for someone?
Yeah.
You know, like have you had that conversation with God? Have you taken a month, 2 months, 3 months where you are not on dating apps, you are not saying yes to anyone asks you out, you are completely closed off to dating because you just want to check in and make sure that dating is right for you. Yeah. That being in a relationship is something that is right for you to be working towards. And that could be a no for now, or a no forever, or a yes for now, and then maybe a no a bit later down the line. Like, it's not, sort of plant your flag and that's it. Yeah. But who asks those questions? I've never heard anyone say like, okay, you're single. It's always like, how are you fixing it? Not like,
as if it's a problem.
Is this a problem to be fixed?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, actually, there aren't problems to be fixed around being single.
Is this an area you're growing in? Is probably romantic relationships is an area of life.
I think there are things associated with being single that are problems that need to be fixed. Yeah. But being single in itself is not a problem.
No. Imagine if somebody turned to Jesus and went, so where's your wife? And he's like, well, that's not an area of my life that needs to be fixed.
You're not hoping to lead a Bible study without a wife, are you, Jesus?
Yeah.
You know? Right.
Someone went to Paul, how are you going to plant a church without a wife? What?
Madness.
Crazy. You know what I mean? But
if a married person's watching this, what would you want them to know about life as a single person? And you can only speak from your own experience. You're in your 20s. It's not like, you know, you're in your 50s and you've been praying for this for 40 years. Yeah. Maybe not 40. You know what I mean? Yeah. But particularly women, but men also, of different ages will have different relationships and have gone on different journeys. And then even within that, somebody else who's, you know, around your age may have a completely different perspective. But like, what do you think is important for people to know?
I'm actually quite fortunate, actually. I have a couple of women who are married who hold me accountable for things. They're people that I go to for the things that are really, really hard, and they're married. And actually, for me, the thing I love about it is that it's, from them, it feels like, I am here if you need me. Yeah. There is no thing that you cannot say to me. And I go, okay, this is what I'm going to offer you. I would like your opinion on this, please.
But you ask.
Yeah, and I will always ask for their opinion. Sometimes it's, I need to get this off my chest and I don't want to hear what you have to say. I'm just going to say it. And I mean, that comes from me as an external processor, because before the words come out of my mouth, I've not sat and deliberated and internally gone, okay, this is what I think and this, that, the other. Quite a lot of it is me going, especially when it comes to romantic relationships, if there's somebody that I'm like, I don't know how I feel about them, but maybe that's a part of it. I actually think I probably would go to my married friends, maybe not first, but I would go to them for advice, because I know that they've been through this and have got to the next stages. Being a single person, there's only so far in the dating process that I've got. You know what I mean? So going to somebody who has knowledge, but it's nice that they only take up that space if I've invited them in. And
I think that's really key.
Yeah.
That's really key. Have you had this where, because obviously I think in your 20s, we're Christians and everyone absolutely slams down the aisle. It's like a blooming race from first date to wedded bliss. But I think possibly it will be less in your sphere in your 20s as it is maybe for me in my 30s, and for people older than that, is that people drop off the radar when they get married and actually really start investing in the other married couples around them and less so in their single friends. Yeah. And there are times when I've been so hurt by that. Like even Single Friendly Church, amazing organisation that encourage and speak to churches about how to be more welcoming for single people. And they did a big survey, and it was a little while ago now. It was 2012, so we're talking 10 years. I'm sure they'll do some, and they do constantly do new bits and pieces. But it was a really big survey, and in it someone said like, when I got a boyfriend, suddenly I was invited round to everyone's house for dinner, and how much more I needed that invitation when I was single.
Yeah.
And like, it's just sometimes people go, it feels like, again, this is one of those things, like, I'm going to say it, I don't know if it's right or true, and I don't need you to contradict me, but I'm going to say it out loud. It feels like almost like, my girlfriends have got me across the line, as if like it's a thing where you need to get across the line, which we've already established it isn't.
Yeah.
You know, thanks for that. You know, maybe you can be my bridesmaids as a thank you. But now...
Final farewell.
Yeah. Sometimes being someone's bridesmaid feels like a final farewell.
Yeah.
It's really sad. And then like, cheers, but I've got my married friends now, so you don't really get my stage. Or, you know, if you go on a trip with them, or if you go, you know, if they come to a party, they'll come early, they'll get out of there quickly.
Yeah.
And it's like, they no longer want to like dance with you. They no longer want to sit up late. They, you know, and it just, and I get it, I guess, because like, you know, you go home early, you can keep the party going in bed if you want.
Yeah.
Whereas we're just still on the dance floor. And like, maybe that's, you know, I just feel like I'd probably get a bit bored of my husband after a while. I want my mates back. I do think I've seen the married couples thing modelled really well.
Me too.
I do. I think it's, for a married couple, I would say, ask yourself who you're inviting into your home.
Yeah.
Open it up. Have a couple. It's not everyone. It's not like unboundaried, like just hand out keys to your home in church, right?
Yeah, leave your house unlocked.
Come on.
I don't have windows anymore.
But a couple, like a few single people who just feel so at home in your home.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are making time to have single people round, invite them. Don't just surround yourself with married couples. Ask yourself, like, how would this feel if you were single? And if you were single and that hurt at that time?
Yes.
As well, not just like, oh, someone's coming without a wife or a husband, but actually like if you were in a place where being single, because people do go up and down with it, you can feel like, oh my gosh, this is great, I can't imagine ever being with someone. Yeah. And then you can be like, this would be so much easier if I had a partner.
Yeah.
So it's that. And I feel like just to think that through, only ask people how they're getting on with their dating life if you've been invited to.
Yeah, I think that's the key.
If you're not sure as well, say like, I know dating is difficult. I know it's something that you are, you know, that's a part of your life at this time. Do you want me to check in with you about it, or would you prefer not to talk? And that's okay.
Offering the no is always really good, because especially, I mean, the British culture, we don't like to say no. So if you offer a no,
just say like,
you can say no. Yeah.
Is that something you want support and accountability in, or have you got that elsewhere? I think that's a really healthy thing to ask. If you feel like, oh, maybe I am that person to them, maybe I'm not, you know? And once you've had the yes, that's when you ask those difficult questions. That's when you say like, how can I support you?